Many people have said they want to know more when I told them that I had a story of my own. What I want to do is share exactly what happened here so you guys understand how this is going on and you could be aware if you either own properties or you are a real estate agent and how these things are really sophisticated. And so this guy, I'm going to show you the paperwork. We're not screwing around. Tonight you guys are going to see everything. We're getting into it. Ali Salim reaches out to me. Hey, I want to buy this property and send me the paperwork I'm going to sign. So I sent this over to him, guys. I sent this over to him and he signed it. And again, I'm red flagging it the whole time. This guy hasn't called me. This has all been over messages on WhatsApp. And I'm thinking, I even said him every single time I respond to him, I'm like, can you give me a call? Let's just have a quick call. Oh, I'm on a boat. He's like, I'm on the sea somewhere. Like, I want to see if I could find these emails. Ali Salim sends me this, a proof of funds. And if you look there, it's a completely ridiculous amount of money. And when someone says that they have that much money, you're kind of like, holy cow, that's either a real person or they're totally full of shit. I got a message from Ali Salim. Thank you for your response. Having reviewed the property extensively and have weighed the price, I am willing to pay the listing price. Sounds good. Sounds good. This guy wants to pay the listing price. By the way, he's worth freaking 335 million. At least in that account, 338 million. Okay. And then, so here's what he has to say. Go ahead and draft the contract. My terms for the purchase are, the offer will be my name, Ali Salim. I am an offshore engineer. Okay, this is where it gets really awesome. My name's Ali Salim. I'm an offshore engineer, and hence I cannot be available for calls. And the best possible means of communication with me would be through email. I am always offshore. Who the fuck is always offshore, right? That's the first red flag. I was like, what was the, or second red flag? Because the first one was like, okay, he's not calling. And then he tells me why he's not calling, because he's an offshore engineer and hence he is not available for a call. As the best possible means of communication with me will be through email. I am always offshore. So then he gives me his information. Literally gives me like telephone number, his flat. It's in Wan Chai, Hong Kong. This is a 3-point bullet point setup here. Like, this is a real offer from a real person who's trying to buy a property, as far as I'm seeing. Okay, they're from somewhere else in the world. They see my ridiculous property on the market. They're super wealthy because they sent me that proof of funds, which you're about to see. And they say, okay, the purchase would be a cash buy, and I would be a reasonable deposit immediately through my investment broker. I would like to settle all the upfront and full payment via a lawyer that is vast in business prior to the closing of this purchase. Hence, I will solicit your help in helping to get a reputable law firm within your jurisdiction. I just want to say that to you one more time. He's saying that he is going to send a deposit through his investment banker. So this guy seems real. He says that prior to purchasing, he wants to make sure he has an attorney vet this transaction. And he wants me to get him a great attorney to do that. What kind of scammer would say, hey, I want you to find me a good attorney who's got vast business knowledge in order to close this transaction for me? Number 3, I would like an inspection, and it would be contingent to the purchase. Also, I would like the close within 30 days from now. From now. The inspector can send me a video tour of the property before my eventual arrival for closing. That way, the owner should not be bothered about my viewing the property before offer and made to you. Kindly send me a virtual tour. Guys, I sent him a virtual tour immediately. Kindly send me the offer document in a DocuSign format so I can review. I cannot access a printer at this time due to my present location. Guys, on the offshore. He's in the offshore doing it, you know. But this is what we got from him. Okay? Regards, Ali Salim. So did you hear that? Hey, Mark, I love the deal. I love the property. Send me the paperwork. Given full asking price. I need you to find the attorney because I need a good attorney. So you lock me in with an attorney. I'm going to set you up with my investment banker. They're going to send the money over. And I'm going to be there in 30 days and be the owner of that property. From today, I want to own it. From 30 days, from today. You hear all that? That's a big deal right there. Mr. Salim, this is Mark Pyers from Berkshire Hathaway. I'm still trying to reach you, get you on the line. Look, I got your offer, got it signed. It's great and all. And I know you're sending a check, but, it's typical that there's a proof of funds that's sent. Can you send a proof of funds along so we can just make sure everything's on the up and up? This cash deal, that's one of the things that we need at least is a proof of funds. My client's waiting for it, and I really hope we can get this thing wrapped up. Now, guys, remember, I'm staying positive about all this, even though I'm seeing red flag after red flag, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no way that this is a real guy, right? And so I'm talking to my client, and I'm like, hey, I got an offer for this property. And he's like, all right, well, let's just flush it out. Let's see. And I'm like, I don't think this guy's real. Who the hell lives on an offshore, and then here's the thing. He's always in the offshore. Then why the frick is he buying a $7 million piece of property in Connecticut? And so I'm like, look, I really hope this is a real guy, but I don't think it's real. And he's like, well, I'm open to it being a real guy. If it is, that's great. And so I said, well, I'll keep you in the loop. We'll see what happens. I asked him for a proof of funds. If this guy's, I have to assume he's going to fold once we start asking him for documentation, So I was wrong. And I got this immediately, almost like an hour later, something like that. This right here is basically a statement account from the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. Now, my client, who happens to be from that part of the world, says that's like the biggest bank in China. So that's a good start. I'm like, great. So Ali Salim has an account at the ICBC, and it's apparently $338 million. Now, so then I start saying to him, look, let's look a little closer at this, because I really don't think, this looks like Photoshop to me. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, do you have it in front of you? And he says, well, let me pull it up. And I said, okay, so first thing I notice is where it says $338 million, the numbers aren't lined up. The 338 is not lined up with the rest of the numbers. And I said, that to me looks like it was added in with like a typewriter. And that doesn't seem right. And so then I start seeing other things, like his name is bold and it's in a different type of font. Like if you start looking even closer, the pixel is not the same as see all the rest of the fonts? The pixel for his name is a little bit sharper. And that to me seemed a little weird. And I was like, I don't think that's a real account. It seems like it's not a real account. But again, guys, when you see $338 million right there, and it comes through and the guy says he wants to buy your property all cash, your client's property all cash, you're like hoping, okay? So this is where it gets even more sophisticated, and I wish I had this to show you, and I don't. So I get him an attorney. I found him a great attorney. And I said, hey, look, I need you to see if you could close this deal for me. I don't know if this guy's real. Can you kind of flush this out and look into him and see if he's a real person? And he's apparently sending us a check. And so he's like, all right, I'll look into it, Mark, And so I'm seeing emails going back and forth now between the attorney and Ali Salim. And Ali Salim's like, hey, I'm sending you a check. It should be there in a couple days. Let me know when it arrives. So then he starts hounding us. Hey, did you get my check? My financial advisor says he sent you the check. Did you get my check yet? Did you deposit my check? Can you send me the confirmation that you deposited my check? And so I'm like, look, Ali, I haven't heard anything yet. But now I'm starting to really be fishy. I'm like, there's no way this guy's a real person. And so I said, you know what? Yeah, okay, we'll let you know, but I haven't seen anything, haven't heard anything yet. And so all of a sudden I get a call from my attorney, the guy I use all the time. And he goes, Mark, we got a check. And I'm like, what in the freaking hell? This is a real deal? He goes, yeah, I got a check. This guy just sent a check for all this money. And I'm like, that's awesome. And he goes, not so fast. This is what we got going on. This guy sent us a check from Canada. And he's from Hong Kong. And he goes, not on the surface, that's not totally out there because people from Hong Kong may have financial advisors in Canada. But the fact that the money came from a Canada bank is something that we're a little concerned about. And I said, well, why is that? He said, well, this is what they do. And as soon as I hear that, I'm like, this is not a real deal. He goes, this is what they do. And I said, tell me what they do, buddy. And again, I'm going to just go back to this one. I think is a better one just because this guy said he had $338 million. Like, that's just mental. To see that. That was, to me, again, anybody say, oh, well, you as a realtor, you should get it. Hey, realtor should have picked that up. They send you proof of funds. They send you checks. So I said to my guy, so tell me, how did this happen? And how did the guy send us a check? Like, why was this guy not running? He's got to be, there's a bigger carrot here. I kept saying, there's got to be something else. If that's not, what is he aiming for here? And so the guy says, this is what they do. They send us the check for $67,950. And what happens with an international check is it takes like 5 days for it to clear. And so what they'll do is they'll have the check deposited, and then they'll call the next day once it's deposited and say, you know what, I don't want to do the deal. I'd like my money back right now. I found something I don't like about that property. Whatever, they could say anything. And they say, I want my money back. Now, most unsuspecting attorneys will say, oh, okay, yeah, it's in my escrow, I'll send it back to you. Or they'll just send it because the money's sort of there. Like the bank did put it in because until it's not there, it is there. And so they send it back, and then like all of a sudden, that's not a real person. There's no bank account for that. It's a fake check, but it took too long to route it, and they get away with it. And so I almost had it happen to me. Now, again, I was aware the whole time. Like, I can't tell you any of the time where I got myself excited thinking to myself, oh, this is going to happen, to the point where I was like, I'm specifically not going to do that because then I don't want to be disappointed when I find out it's exactly what I know it is, which is nothing. This is a scammer. Some guy sitting in like Calcutta or whatever. He's saying, look, I think I have a mark here. Here's a property. Now, this property had been on the market for so long, not just with me, but all these different agents had it over the years. I came along and I swept up and I sold it at the end. But the reality is it sat there. And so someone from the outside could have seen that and said, I may be able to make a play on this one. That's what you got. I'm doing these stories, like I want to get in depth and to kind of get into the detail of the stories. Planning on doing that more and more. I think sometimes you have a personal experience that you need to share, and almost getting scammed. The only other time I could tell you is a really scary scenario, but I did have my identity stolen once when I was, I guess, like 20 something. And I remember I got an email. The email was from eBay, and it said, hey, you haven't used your account in a while, and we're closing accounts, so we're going to close your account if you don't access it in the next couple months. You could click in here and just let us know that you're actually still have an interest in using the account or whatever it was. I don't even know it was an eBay page, and I was like, okay. So I clicked and I went in, and the crazy thing is, like, I still remember, like, I clicked and it, like, all my information popped up except for I think I just put my password in. It's like perfect, right? And at the time, that's very, very early on in like the world of scamming. And so I put my information, I get into eBay, and I'm like, I don't know, there's nothing wrong with my eBay account. This looks fine to me, So I log out, and that's it. All of a sudden, my credit cards people are buying stuff in like Hong Kong, and I'm getting a call from the credit card company. Are you in Africa? What the fuck? Am I in Africa? And so basically, they were using my card and charging it all over the world. And not just my card, but everything. And the guy was like, yeah, they broke into your eBay, and they get your credit card information from eBay. And I'm like, wow. And they have your social security, so then you're going into all these other things. And so it was a real nightmare. I mean, there was a period of time where it's like they destroyed my credit, I think. So that was my first step back. And okay, anytime I get an email from somebody, look at who the email comes from. Oh, Facebook's telling me something. Click on it. Oh, it's from Zebai X that Facebook is clear. Like, what is that? That you think that's really from Facebook? You have to really do your research when you see something. Oh, we have this package that's showing up at your house. What the fuck? I didn't order a package. Thanks for letting me know. Well, let me click the link. Don't click any links. No links. You go to the actual page. Oh, your eBay page can be closed. Oh, really? Okay, let me close this motherfucking mail real quick and go open up the eBay page. I'm getting into it. You know? eBay. Where dreams come to die. I don't know if that's their... I'm not sure if that's their actual phrase or not, but like... I'd be happy to ask Joanne, but... Joanne, can you stop that back there with the wheeze, really? Gosh almighty, Joanne. Oh my goodness. Joanne, did you eat an apple full again? What's that, Joanne? Joanne, I'm sorry. I can't hear you over the wheeze. But I'm pretty sure you were telling me about the time that you were scammed. You know, by Dr. Weaselfroggy. He told you, just one more. 18 times. Joanne. What's that? No, Joanne. I didn't want to have a conversation with you. I was just saying your name in disgust. You know, that you got fooled. Again, scammed by Dr. Weaselfroggy. Wear your mask. 10,467 masks. Joanne's wearing a mask still. Joanne, did you star in Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And the guy who chainsaws people's faces off and then just like mucks it all over his actual face? Like paper mache. Are you paper mache, Joanne? You know? Where all of a sudden you got ripples. But it's just the skin of somebody that you did your chainsawing on. You know. Look, Joanne, that's on you. You know. St. Peter. I'll hold you to task on that one, Joanne. Holding you to task. Guys, it's been a show. It's been a show. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's comedy. Sometimes it's a cool story about scammers. Anyway, extra crispy. Until tomorrow. This is the Mark Inspire Show. You got to go away. I will see you tomorrow, fam and friends. Joanne says goodnight over the wheeze. It's obnoxious. I'm dealing with it. You know? You got to go away.